All right, so where are we? Chapter 17, finally. Ugh, I love this chapter. This is like one of my favorite chapters of all time. And it's going to go by pretty quick because, we'll just keep that up there because it is fun. It's stuff you guys like. Now, I'll tell you this, all the rest of the stuff that we do throughout the quarter is it's one of those things where you really, really enjoy it. You get excited about it. Okay? So just think about it that way. Think, wow, okay, now we're getting into stuff that we can actually see, no pun intended, because it's chapter 17. Hear, right? Your heartbeat, that's awesome. You can feel that. So these are things that you guys actually start getting excited about, start putting the time in, the additional time. You know I'm available. I'm here early and now I'm in trio. So still doing that. You guys can pop in, ask me questions down there too. Chapter 17, special senses as opposed to general senses. Special senses as opposed to general senses. So special senses, we're talking about ears, eyes, nose, mouth. Okay? And then we've got a little bit of equilibrium going on in there. So I'll be posting a bunch of images for you guys today and tonight. I'll be prepping a bunch of stuff for everything we're doing, but remember that you have to go back to 241 and grab that information. You have to pull that information out and keep using it. So chapter 17, special senses, and we have a smell lab tomorrow, so let's just jump right into, first off, there's 5 special senses. Olfaction is what? Smell. Gustation, taste, vision, equilibrium, and hearing are self-explanatory. Olfactory organs provide sense of smell. Sense of smell. Located in the nasal cavity on either side of the nasal septum. Okay, made up of 2 layers, olfactory epithelium and lamina propria, which we've heard before. That's nothing new right there. Lamina propria. Layers of olfactory organs. Well, olfactory epithelium contains olfactory receptors. Well, we just finished receptors, so let's think about this for a second. It's a receptor. It's taking information and converting it into nervous impulses. Okay? It's taking information and it's converting it into nervous impulses. So, if you were to do this, everything that just went in is converted into a nervous impulse. And then you pull from association areas in the limbic system and say, hey, I know what that is. All right? And then stem cells. There's always going to be stem cells because guess what? You can actually damage cells and so they've got to regenerate. Layers of olfactory organs. Well, the lamina propria. This is total review of 241. Areolar connective tissue. Blood vessels. Nerves. And olfactory glands. Now, let's go off on a small tangent, but one that's very relevant. Somebody remind me of what a fire alarm does. Hearing and flashing light, right? So guess what? When you're asleep, you can't smell. There's no smell. You can't smell smoke. You're not smelling bacon. You're hearing people talking. You're not smelling coffee until you're awake. You're hearing people talking and moving around or even the coffee machine. Now, I'm surprised someone hasn't caught it yet.
You have to be conscious.
You have to be awake to smell. You have to be. Okay? Well, what about smelling salts? Don't they use those to wake you up? How do you smell those? I mean, you're unconscious, right? They crack it open, they put it under your nose. How do you smell those? See, this is the aha moment right here. It's not smell. It's pain. It's a nociceptor. It actually burns your nose and wakes you up. It's pain. It's not smell. I know. That's rude. That's horrible. Yeah, it's pain. It burns your nose. And you wake up. Go figure. Bless you. Okay, so yeah, it's a nociceptor saying, hello, knock, 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 wake up. You cannot smell when you're asleep. Okay, most of this should look familiar. What we're talking about, a cranial nerve. We've got our nervous system in there, olfactory tract and bulb. This is just the area that it actually transduces, transduction, transduces down. Transduction, the conversion of stimulus energy into nervous energy. Nervous impulses, the conversion of stimulus energy into nervous energy. Okay, so transduction. Transduction. Wow, what's this guy right? What's this guy right there? Pituitary. Nice. Yeah. And Mohammed, because I overlooked you, I apologize. I'm terribly sorry. What is that piece of tissue that connects the hypothalamus to the pituitary called? He's like, I want to be ignored now, please. What is the tissue called that connects the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland? Amina. The stalk, okay, what's it called? Infundibulum. Infundibulum. Okay, then we have our, of all things, ethmoid bone right here. Okay, cribiform plate of the ethmoid bone, olfactory foramina, crista galli. You guys remember all of that, right? You're like, I'm trying not to. Well, yeah, I remember it. Okay, notice what's happening here. Notice what's happening. So we have olfactory receptor cells. They come down. Look at this. Olfactory dendrites, surfaces contain receptor proteins. Substances, also known as odorants. Odorants, being smelled. Odorants. So, it binds, and because of what it is, it transduces into nervous energy, and you make something of it. Lamina propria up above, and there's our cribiform plate. Olfactory glands, secretions coat the surface of the olfactory glands. Olfactory receptors, highly modified neurons, olfactory reception. Now here we go. Involves detecting dissolved chemicals as they interact with odorant binding proteins. Dissolved. So what do they have to be dissolved in? Bless you. What do you get all over your arm when you sneeze? What's all over your arm right now?
Mucus.
Mucus. Yeah. I thought you were going to say boogers. I got bugs. I got bugs. Yeah, bugs. Love bugs. Bugs are awesome. Yeah, mucus. Mucus. And mucus is actually made up of water. So it has to be dissolved in an aqueous solution. It has to be dissolved in water. Mucus is water. All right? So now I want another little tangent here. You guys will love this, okay? Next time you're super duper hungry and you're kind of out there and crazy and everything, just go for it. Just hook it and just pop and yeah, because it's actually good for you. You know that is water. And I'm sure you guys don't drink enough water, so just go for it. Yeah, no, you guys are like, I don't do that. No, I know what you guys do. You dig and you get the big one, that kernel, that one that just has some meat behind it. And you sit and you roll it, right? When you're in your car. How many people do that? Like, go ahead and fess up. You're driving and you roll it, and you won't let go of it. Like, it's like this golden treasure and you don't let go, right? Yeah. It's awesome. Susan, do you do that? Yeah, it rolls a book. Like, holds on to it. And then you got choices there. You have like a rolled goodie, like you could, or you could flick it. Okay? Flicking is tough because it sticks to you. It's really hard to get off. So you like a couple flicks to get it out. And you can always tell those people that flick a book because they roll their window down just enough and they stick their fingers out like this and they flick their book. Okay, and then if they don't get it, they rub it on their window and it gets hard and stays right there on the edge of their window. That little bug, right? How many people have done this? I love this one. This is my favorite. In your car, what do you do? When you have that ooze, Like just full on, what do you do with your back in? Hey, or you shine your steering wheel, you can do that, or trousers, yeah. But boogers, okay, mucus, that's all it is, mucus and water. Louisa, what, you have children, you should know.
Mine does never do that.
And she's not looking.
No.
They're like, kids are good to do that. They grab them and chase each other around with them. It's like this contagious thing. It's a bug. Okay, so it is mucus. It is mucus and it is water. It's mucus and water. Now, what is it collectively made up of? To be honest with you guys, everything. Okay, remember back in integumentary, we talked about skin sloughing off. It's got skin in there. It's got dust particles in there. Unbelievably, it's got bacteria in there. Now, if you do eat your bugs, and everybody's cringing, why doesn't the bacteria hurt you? Susan, what'd you say? No, actually, you could be inhaling other people's bacteria, but I think you're on the right track. Where is it going? It's going into your stomach. What's in your stomach? Acid. Yeah, there's absolutely no way it's going to survive in there. So you see your kids eating their bugs, don't worry, they're not going to die from it. Okay, they'll survive. But it does have to be dissolved in water, an aqueous solution, which is what mucus is. It's primarily water. Okay? And think about it, when you're sick, what does your nose do? It runs. Okay? It's a release of fluid. So it says olfactory pathways, axons leaving olfactory epithelium collect into 20 or more bundles. There's our cribiform plate of the ethmoid bone. They reach the olfactory bulbs of the cerebrum where the first synapse occurs. The first synapse occurs. So at this point, we're getting ready to transduce this information. Olfactory pathways, axons leaving olfactory bulbs, travel along the olfactory tract to reach the olfactory cortex, so smell, hypothalamus, and portions of the limbic system. What? Bless you. Save that for later. What is the limbic system? Emotion. Emotion. And that's what we do. We actually do get emotional about smells. Okay? So arriving information reaches information centers without first synapsing in the thalamus. Olfactory discrimination can distinguish thousands of chemical stimuli. CNS interprets smells by pattern of receptor activity. Okay? Olfactory receptor population. A considerable turnover. That's a horrible way of saying it. A considerable turnover. How about this? Constant regrowth. Constant regrowth. It's actually going to be damaged or break apart, and we're going to regrow them. So that's what they're talking about right there when they say olfactory receptor population, considerable turnover. It's not actually turnover. It's not like one's leaving and another one's coming. It's actually they're being destroyed. Okay? Now it says number of olfactory receptors decline with age. That's why old people don't smell stuff. They don't. They really don't. Because they can have something going on with them, and they won't ever smell it. And what's even worse is this. The gray hair, you know, you've been around them. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe they're blue hair. Okay, we're talking about old folk. What do they do with their perfume? Nope. And then everybody smells it for like 3 days. It burns into your nose. Oh, your grandma was here. Yeah, she was here a week ago. Oh, okay. Yeah. I had the pleasure of actually getting into an elevator with a gal that dumped. I think she bathed in it. I think she did. I think she like poured it into her bathwater and jumped in. Got in the elevator. I was like, whoop. I couldn't even breathe. It was so harsh. And it's not like expensive perfume either. It's straight up JCPenney special. You know? Like $1.99 for a gallon. Yeah, some scariness. Okay, and that's why right there. The number of olfactory receptors declines with age because they can't smell it. They can't smell it. Okay, so olfaction and gustation are special senses that give us vital information about our environment. Yes, they do. That's why I could tell that, Maria's grandma was there a week ago. Bless you. Okay? And then we're talking about nose and everybody's sneezing now. That's awesome. It's like yawning, because then it's, everybody's going to start yawning. So although sensory information is diverse and complex, each special sense originates at receptor cells that may be neurons or specialized receptor cells that communicate with sensory neurons. So let's go back to receptors. Receptor, sensory, integration. If we need an output, motor, effector. Okay? So if we need an output. Now sometimes it's actually an unconscious or subconscious output. If you smell something you don't like, do you honestly think you can seriously control this? No. You jump in an elevator and someone farts, you're like, oh. Yeah. And me, I'm all about the verbal aspect of it. I'm like, really? You couldn't have waited? I let them know. I let them know that they did something wrong in the elevator. Yeah. And then, you know what? Moms are good on that. Moms are good. They're like, yeah, time to change the diaper. Like, they can smell it from 500 feet away. And other people's kids, too. Like, hey, yeah, get on your kid. Come on. Diaper time. Yeah, it's craziness. Susan, do you ever do that? Other people's kids are like, oh yeah, you're sour. Come on. Whew. Okay. So what's occurring? Well, the binding of an odorant to its receptor protein leads to the activation. Okay? Leads to the activation. It's a cyclic AMP process. The cyclic AMP opens sodium ion channels in the plasma membrane, which begins to depolarize. Everybody remembers what depolarize is, right? Yeah. Okay, if sufficient depolarization occurs, what happens afterwards? And this is why the fundamentals of the nervous system are so important. Because do I have to actually sit here and hammer this into you? No, you know that if there's enough of a depolarization, we get an action potential. Gustation. Well, that was the end of smell. So here's taste. So what do you think we're going to spend the most time on? Hearing and vision. Hearing and vision. Vision more so. So gustation provides information about foods and liquids that are consumed. Taste receptors, gustatory, okay, are distributed on the tongue and portions of the pharynx and larynx, which means you can't escape it. But guess what? The great thing is different portions of your mouth will actually differentiate of what you're taking in. Okay, clustered into taste buds. Taste buds. Now, taste buds associated with epithelial projections, lingual papillae on the surface of the tongue. So guess what? There are areas of the tongue that actually taste different things, or a little bit more than other areas. So if you do have a child or a friend that's like, here, here, and then they do this, don't like it. Wrong taste bud. Try the other ones. In other words, get them to get a bite of it. That's the wrong taste bud. And we use that for everything, too. Really? We sample things. We walk through the house. My dog does this. No, I don't want to go that way. Yep, that's good. Yep, there's food. You guys do that. You don't think about it. But how about this?
Walking around.
Yeah, walking around licking the air. How many people have plugged their nose before for tasting stuff? They go hand in hand, so when you actually smell it, guess what you're doing? You're transferring it to that area of the brain saying, chocolate. And you'll follow it. You'll go get the chocolate. Yeah. So 4 types of lingual papillae. So this is areas, okay? Filiform papillae provide friction, texture, food. I can't eat slimy food, like clams and oysters and, that's horrible. Really? Yeah. They don't contain taste buds, but what do they tell us about? The texture of food, right? Fungiform contain about 5 taste buds each. Valect contain about 100 taste buds, and then folate, okay, another portion of the tongue. So areas of the tongue contain these different taste buds, and then we have, of course, friction. What is the consistency of the food? Taste buds contain basal cells, gustatory cell receptors. They survive only about 10 days before replacement. They extend taste hairs. That's right, you've got a hairy tongue. What? You do. It's craziness. Through taste pores. So you have all these little pores on your tongue with little hairs in them. And literally, I'm not kidding. But let's do another aha moment. Okay, you guys ready for this great one? Here's the great one right here. Aha moment. Like, woohoo, fantastic, got it, it's in the melon. Survive only 10 days before replacement. How many people have burned their tongue and a couple days later you're good to go again? Yeah, high regeneration rate because of the fact that they're being replaced continuously. So you've got that soup, and everybody knows that soup, your favorite type of soup, and you're like, and you're excited, and you're, and it's done. Like, for 2 days you can't taste anything because you burned your tongue. Okay, but it will replace itself. Survives only about 10 days before replacement. Monitored by cranial nerves that synapse within the solitary nucleus of the medulla oblongata, and then onto the thalamus and primary sensory cortex. The thalamus, it's a switchboard, and then primary sensory cortex, which is a pleasure. You've got some pleasure going on here, because how many people actually eat that food for pleasure? Yeah, we do. And you can't even say, no, I don't. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody has their own pleasure food. Me, it's all about Mexican food. I can eat it every single day, 3 times a day. Someone's phone's having a heyday. And I would be just happy. Okay? But if I want to go beyond that, like I want that extra special something, how about this? Roast beef, mashed potatoes, and peas with fresh baked bread. And instead of doing the crust, grab the dough and really, I'll eat till I pop. That's how good that is to me. Mashed potatoes, butter, oh. Yeah. So it's all about pleasure. And we're Americans. All of us are Americans, so what do? We eat for pleasure. We're like, what do you do when you invite people over? You eat. You're like, come on over, and you cook for them. Yeah.
They eat.
Okay, these are locations for, look at water receptors. Is that you?
No.
What am I hearing?
I think it's people doing yard work.
Is it? Weird, okay. I feel like I'm going to float away. Okay, we've got a taste up there, one specific taste. They're actually saying that there are additional tastes. So we've got sweet, sour, salty, umami, okay? But now they've got an additional one, and I don't know if this book's actually going to talk about it, but there is an additional taste. Okay? Heat and temperature. Heat and temperature. Yeah, oh yeah. Throw those jalapenos in your food. What do you get out of it? There you go. Okay? So, different types of structures. Okay, they do have to be in aqueous solution. It has to be. So if you have cotton mouth or dry mouth and you have no aqueous solution, you're not going to taste anything. Or the taste will be off. Okay, remember we need enough of this in order to transduce it. Okay, we need enough of it in order for it to occur. If you don't, if you have a dry mouth and you eat something, is there enough for it to transduce? No. Okay, so there's your taste buds up above. And they're really being, unfortunately, I'm glad I'm going over this the way I am. The water thing is so important, and they're really not putting it on here enough. Okay? Oh, notice they're missing several tastes. What was the other two tastes that I just said? Heat and umami. Yeah, that's a taste. They need to be on there. Okay? So the what is it? What is the stuff that they say? MSG, right? People are like, MSG, MSG. Yeah, but can you walk away from a plate that has MSG in the food? No. And what taste do you think that is? Umami. Okay. Oh, look at this. Characteristic of beef and chicken broth, Parmesan cheese, receptors sensitive to amino acids, small peptides, and nucleotides. Go figure. Okay? Additional human taste sensation. Now they say water detected by water receptors, but that's not a taste. Water doesn't taste. The chemicals in it are, but water itself doesn't taste. But heat, temperatures, actually, they're working on that one to get into the books as taste. And it's not on here because it's cutting edge. It's just something I just read about the other day, and they're actually putting that forth as a taste because we do like heat in our food. Okay? So, gustatory discrimination. Gustatory, oh, look at that. Sweet, bitter, umami, stimulation, G-protein, gusducins. Gusducins, might as well say transducin, because guess what? There it is. Okay? So, dissolved chemicals, contact, taste hairs, bind to the receptor proteins of gustatory cells, salt and sour receptors, chemically gated ion channels. Stimulation produces the depolarization. So each taste stimulates a certain part to create depolarization. If there's enough of it, we get an action potential and we remember what it is. Now it changes up throughout our life. That's why as children we didn't like certain things, and as we get older we like certain things. As a child I ate plenty of fish. Now I don't eat fish. I think I've had fish, 2 times over the last 6 years. Okay? What? And it has to be cooked by me, not by someone else. Go figure. End result of taste receptor stimulation. Release of neurotransmitters by receptor cell. Dendrites of the sensory afferents wrapped by receptor membrane. Neurotransmitters generate an action potential in the afferent fiber. So, receptor, afferent, sensory, interneurons. Okay? Interneurons. Now, I went to a dinner once, and I always share this with my class. I went to a dinner once. I'd never done this before. It was actually rather expensive. It was $120 a plate. $120 a plate. It was really expensive. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I've never done it before, so I want to do it. I went with my wife to this restaurant. It was in Las Vegas. We went to the restaurant, and formal. So you had to have a real nice suit or a tux on. So they bring you in. All of the view was the Bellagio. Okay? And they had 3 people that worked with you. This is probably why it was so expensive. We sat down, and it was 7 courses. And in between each course, you got something to cleanse your palate so you could enjoy the next course afterwards. It was ridiculous. I'd never tasted anything that good before. And guess what I had? Salmon. I had salmon, and it was ridiculous. It was unbelievable. It was like the best salmon I'd ever had in my life. It was so good. I mean, you touched it with the fork. You could sit and pick it up. I couldn't because they'd probably whack me with a ruler if I did that. But, you know, I had my fork and I was eating my salmon. I was like, wow. But it was amazing what they did, like the sorbets that they gave you to help with everything, and the waters they gave you, how the water was set up. They had it dialed in to make it everything a pleasurable experience. Was it worth the $120? Yeah, it was. Actually, it really was. Okay. What's that? It was the Eiffel Tower. And it was a special occasion they had. So, yeah, and you had to book it like 3 months in advance. So it was unbelievable. It was like the best thing that I've ever I'm sure there's tons of better restaurants, but the way they had a special guest chef there and they had a bunch of other stuff, but the way they set it up, I'd never experienced anything like that before. It was well worth the money. Yeah, and they even chose the wine. They gave you like 4 wine selections. You couldn't go outside of it. You had to pick one of theirs. So, yeah, pretty amazing. Taste sensitivity exhibits significant individual differences. All right, some conditions are inherited. Okay? So, do I put a lot of time into this? No. No. Every single person's going to have a different taste. I don't like the percentages, and I most definitely don't like the use of this. Okay? So, just saying, it's my own personal preferences. People, period, all the way across the board. Y'all, we have different tastes. Some of them are part of our culture. Some of them are part of who we are. So they're always going to be different. I never had Indian food when I was a kid. Now, every chance I get, Indian food. I love Indian food. It's awesome. It's so good. Okay? I've even gotten to the point where the what is it, naan? Figured out how they make it so soft and yummy. Took forever, but I figured it out. And now it's like, who needs a loaf of bread? I just make it, tear it into small pieces, and everything I eat with my fingers. It's awesome. I look like a kid, like a ring of food here and a ring of food here. I'm like, what? It's awesome. Okay, so this number of taste buds begins declining rapidly at the age of 50. Now, I like to say no to that. It varies on person to person. I know people that are above 50 that have unbelievable palates. Unbelievable. All right. So, and we know about the amount of action potentials. We know about, we have to reach negative 55 for it to be an action potential, which means we need enough stimulus there for it to activate. This is actually telling you what causes it to activate. What causes it to activate? Notice we've got some hydrogen going on there, some Na. There's our resting membrane potential. Okay, diffusion of sodium ions from salt solutions or hydrogen ions for acids or sour solutions. Okay, receptors responding to stimuli that produce sweet, bitter, umami sensation. Well, it's a G protein, so it's a second messenger, a drawn out process within the cells. Okay? We are, let me double check our time to make sure we're good to go. We're going to stop right here. The reason why we're going to stop right here is because I need to give the other class a chance to catch up, and I think the 10 minutes that we have right now would be a good stopping point. We completed taste and smell. They're the smallest parts of these chapters. They're done. Look where we're going now. Eye. Okay? So we've got a lot ahead of us. Look for the images that I'm going to post for you guys tonight. I'd like to have them printed up by Thursday. Let me say that one more time. I'd like to have them printed up by Thursday. I'd like your labs put up right here. Labs. We have a test on Wednesday. Make sure you check your weekly schedule. We have a labeling diagram on Friday. Please put your labs up here if you don't have any questions. Have a nice day.